Well, if the government gets its way, Colette, rent pressure zones could be nationwide as early as Friday. My understanding is that 4.5 hours have been set aside for the Dáil Chamber tomorrow afternoon, a revision to the Dáil schedule, so that legislation can be considered at all stages by the Dáil, pass the Dáil completely on Wednesday evening, and then go to the Seanad for ratification on Thursday. It could then go to President Michael D. Higgins, who, if he is prepared to sign it, and he has no concerns around the constitutionality of that, it could be on the books on Thursday night, and the entire country could be an RPZ by Friday. That, in the short term, would mean that the estimated 1 in 6 tenancies around the country that don't currently have any legal cap on the amount by which their rent can be raised every year would then have the existing protections applied to them. In other words, only one rent review every 12 months and by no more than 2%. This with a view to having legislation enacted later in the year to provide for that new system of rent caps that could kick in next March. James Brown, on his way into today's Cabinet meeting, insisting that he would like to get this passed urgently, but admitting that it's not entirely within his own hands to do so.
I'm in the hands of the Oireachtas once it goes in there, but last Tuesday, as part of the memo, a key decision was that legislation will be done as a matter of priority and urgency to extend rent pressure zones across the entire country, and the heads of bill was in the memo last Tuesday as well. So this morning we're bringing the legislation, and I would certainly hope that it can be passed. I do need the support of and expect the support of the opposition to do this as well. It's really important and not something to be played politics with.
Opposition parties have suggested they are supportive with the general aim of this, but they will not allow the bill to pass unencumbered. They will be taking the opportunity, they have said, to table amendments to the legislation to try and address some of the shortcomings in the future rent legislation, which the government says will be on the way in the coming months.
They're a blunt instrument, but they are the only protection renters in the private rental market have. But I think that the measures the government bring in need to be stronger, and we're going to set out some of that with other colleagues during the private members' motion tonight.
In my view, it's going to lead to skyrocketing rents every time there's a change in tenancy. Particular concerns for young people, for students who move tenancy often every year, and what you'll see is a reset to market rates every year. So students are going to face these skyrocketing rents year after year.